I fell in love with it the moment I saw it.
I think Belmead is probably the most unique place, certainly in this county, and I would go so far as to say in much of the country.
This was like my very first place that I could call home of my own. This was like my home.
The history behind this place, the students who've been through here, the sisters who were part of it, and the priests.
This place provided history, training, love, and nurturing to many peoples around the United States of America.
It was first and foremost a beautiful home, and Mother Catherine Drexel and the Sisters of the Blessed Sacrament spared no expense in making certain that we had a first-rate education and that we were surrounded by beauty, not only in terms of the property, the actual natural property provided by Mother Nature, but also the building, the classroom, and the dining room, all of the facilities. They were absolutely gorgeous.
And architecturally, it's a very significant property to the state of Virginia and the nation. Being designed by Alexander Jackson Davis from New York, this was his first major project in Virginia.
My family came from Surrey County with Philip St. George Cox and my great-grandfather James Morris. He was a carpenter and the miller at Belmead.
The unique thing about it, St. Catherine Drexel, who came from a wealthy family, but she didn't use her wealth for herself. She used it to do what she could for the underprivileged. The sacrifices that she made during a time when there was no such thing as a civil rights movement, but she had did it on her own, using her fortune to open schools all over the country.
Buildings were beautifully done. The barn was gorgeous. You know, and they had stable for the horses. They had different shops for the boys to learn. They had their own water system. They had their own electricity. When that came in, they could fix cars. The people in the neighborhood told us that everybody in the neighborhood would bring their things to be repaired here because it was, you know, they could get their services. And but anyway, then it became a military academy and it went much more into academics.
It was a culture shock to me. It's something that I never experienced in my life. I felt locked up. I felt violated by my parents. I felt that they didn't want me, that they wanted to abandon me to get me out of the way. So I was sad for the first month or two. I think I was a little sad. And after that, I don't know, I got with the program.
I had never had any contact with nuns. This was my first experience. And it looked like what I thought a boarding school would look like, the beautiful parlor. The next day, one of the nuns asked me, who did I give my money to, the money my mother had given me to pay them. And I said, the nun with the glasses on. And she started to laugh, and I didn't know why she was laughing. Then she told me, she said, all of them wear glasses.
For the last 25 years, the National Trust for Historic Preservation has published an annual list which puts the spotlight on the most endangered historic places in America. In 2011, we listed Belmead.
This mission to make sure that Belmead is restored and that this property can continue to be a place of education and learning as it has been, you know, since the 1800s is an important mission.
We're hoping that when people come out to see this beautiful place, they will agree that it has to be saved from both a historical point of view, but also looking forward for future generations.
Where else does such a thing happen? Where else is the history of America encapsulated, from love of the land, from the agricultural, from slavery, the Civil War, the hard times that farmers fall upon periodically in the latter part of the 19th century, where people are actually hard scrabbling trying to survive. Where else do we encapsulate America? And then we turn to a time when there was an effort and an opportunity to invite our African American population to participate fully in the educational process. Where else in America does that kind of thing happen? Where else can you go and actually see it? It's still alive, it's still here. All of those things coming to fruition here. And now it's time for us as a community of America, of Virginia, of Powhatan, to pony up, to try to protect it, to try to use it, to try to develop it in a responsible way. Where else in America do we have this kind of opportunity?
It's imperative for our nation's story. Too few people understand the need that St. Francis and St. Emma were filling. If we lose those buildings, if we lose St. Francis, if we lose the Manor House, if the 2,000 acres, which has been so carefully stewarded by the sisters, if those 2,000 acres are lost, then we lose part of our cultural heritage.